that. Asylum seekers and migrants in our area worried about what comes next as President Trump cracks down on immigration. As Natalie Dudridge told us earlier, a new memo from the Department of Justice could threaten officials in sanctuary cities with criminal charges if they don't comply with the new orders. This comes in addition to President Trump's executive order attempting to end birthright citizenship and ordering mass deportations. Joining us now is CBS News law enforcement contributor, former deputy commissioner with the NYPD, Richard Esposito. Richard, good to see you this morning.
Morning.
So many Republicans are saying these actions are the only way to get migrants who are violent or have committed a crime out. But how many of the asylum seekers or illegal immigrants actually commit crimes here in the city?
So, we've seen the heinous crimes, the setting someone on fire, the beating up of police. But just like a homeless person pushing someone in front of a train, sometimes the perception is far different than the reality. And the reality is there is a criminal group in the undocumented people, but they don't commit crime at a greater rate than the normal residents and citizens of New York. They are new people committing crimes. They have gangs, they have gang behavior, but they're not responsible for the bulk of the crime in this city.
So I guess then how do you differentiate between who's getting rounded up and who's not getting rounded up?
Right. Well, the mayor, we talked to City Hall this morning, and they've been engaged in shuttle diplomacy. They want to work with the new president, is the way they put it, and not go to war with him. If you remember how he punished New York in the first administration. So how you differentiate is by good police work, as ever. And while the sanctuary rules prohibit the city working with ICE on civil matters like deportation, NYPD works with federal agencies, the FBI, ICE, Homeland Security, on criminal matters with regularity. And there is no doubt that they want to continue to round up and lock up undocumented persons who are criminals.
So we talk about, obviously, there being some cooperation there. We've seen, obviously, this warming of, if you want to call them tensions between the Trump administration and Mayor Adams the past few weeks. They seem to have a cozy relationship now. But let's talk about New York's status as a sanctuary city, okay? And this order that we've talked about now from the Justice Department. Can the Trump administration, basically force the NYPD's hands to comply if, let's say, there are some that are a little wishy-washy on exactly how to proceed?
No, is the short version. The long version is it's going to go back and forth between attorneys in the Justice Department, attorneys in the city. You can't force a police officer to violate the law. You can work with the law and you can change the law, but you can't prosecute people for following the law. So there's a lot of soapbox oratory that goes with the change in policy, and it signals the change in policy, but it's not the same as action. And I think we're hearing a lot of things like there's going to be massive raids, which is signaling the change in policy. But are we going to see massive raids? We'll see.
Got it. And a separate executive action that the president signed, he reclassified cartels and other foreign gangs as a foreign terrorist organization. Does that change the way with which law enforcement can attack or address some of these violent criminals?
Without a doubt. The terrorism statute is a powerful statute. They've used it before with gangs. They've used it before with cartels. The Drug Enforcement Administration has used it. It gives them a new tool, a strong tool. You don't want to broaden the terrorism rule too wide, but it seems an appropriate use of it.
So let me ask you this. When you're talking about perception and reality, again, we've been talking with people here on the streets of New York that might fall into the category of feeling a little bit nervous about going to their schools or their place of worship because now those places are no longer off limits. Is it one of those things where no matter what the rhetoric coming from Tom Homan, who's spearheading these quote unquote roundups, is that they're really just going after the violent criminal element? They're not necessarily coming for folks that are paying their taxes and working 9-to-5 jobs, whether they're illegal or not. Now, I'm not saying that they wouldn't be rounded up, but they're not the people that are being focused on.
I mean, there are about 20,000 ICE agents and 10 to 14 million illegal undocumented persons in the United States. And that should give you an idea of what challenges they're facing. So they're going to be priorities. They may not state the priorities when they're signaling, but they have to be priorities. So who are they going to focus on first, and who might they round up? The fear is understandable. It's changed their conditions that they live in. So they're worried when they go to church. They're worried when they go to school. If they're near a criminal person, they're very possibly going to be brought in if ICE is involved in that arrest. So it's a real concern for these people, and it's an understandable one. What the city's goal is right now is the hope that there are no raids by working closely with the federal government and the Trump administration, or the city gets a heads up, as the city has put it, and they're able to manage as there are any raids.
Great. Richard, thank you. Again, we appreciate you taking the time, as always. Good to see you, and we will see how this all unfolds. It's going to happen quickly, that's for sure. So it's not like we're going to be sitting on our hands wondering what's going to go on. So it will be interesting to see these developments unfold. Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Thanks, Chris. Good to see you.
Okay, and Richard, as you know, joins us every week. And for more on President Trump's new immigration orders and how they impact our area, you can head to our website at cbsnewyork.com.